Anglers of the FLW Tour are set to fish for big money on Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. How will the top pros attack this fishery? Our Hank Parker finds out and has fun in the process. Coming up next on FLW Outdoors.
Yes, sir, that's what we're looking for, my friend. Ball game, baby. Yeah.
He could have one more, and he does.
We have a champion.
Yeah. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Hallelujah!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FLW Outdoors. I'm Carlton Wing, along with Taylor Carr. We're joining you from Morgan City, Louisiana, the site of the second stop on the Walmart FLW Tour.
And there's big money in pro fishing. The purse for this event is $900,000. The winner walks away with $100,000. And the weather, of course, Carlton, is always a factor. And this year, the water is higher and the water is colder. Fishing's not going to be as good this year on the Atchafalaya Basin.
And we're going to find out exactly how these anglers will fish this waterway. Hank Parker is on the water. He's going to fish with 3 of the top contenders for this tournament and find out how they're going to fish this massive waterway. Hank?
Hey guys, I'm out here on the Atchafalaya fixing to have a lot of fun. I'm going to be fishing with Dean Rojas, Dave Lefebvre, and then a little later on Paul Elias. So back to you guys.
Also held on FLW Outdoors, BF Goodrich pro Scott Martin talks about Carolina rigging, usually thought of as a deep water technique. It can work in other places too, and Scott shows us how.
One of the most congenial anglers on tour is Castro pro Carl Swiebeck. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, we'll meet his family and see why he's always smiling.
Last year in this event, Paul Elias went to a real isolated spot on days 3 and 4 and changed his pattern. We'll talk with Paul and find out how he won this event in 2003.
The word Atchafalaya is an Indian name meaning long river. Coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we'll give you a preview of this very long and wide river, the Atchafalaya Basin, through the eyes of one of the locals who knows it best, last year's co-angler champion.
Here's this week's Ozark Trails trivia question. Which of the following is not found in the Atchafalaya Basin? Freshwater drum, shoe pick, white river crawfish, or walleye? Your answer is coming up on FLW Outdoors. The Ozark Trails trivia answer: while there are 85 species of fish found in the Atchafalaya Basin, letter D, walleye, is not among them. The Atchafalaya Basin will fish quite differently this year, in large part due to the weather. It's the day before the event, been raining all day, and rain is forecast for at least the first day or two of the tournament. Weather is going to be real critical this year. You know, even on a dreary, rainy day, the Atchafalaya Basin has a certain peaceful beauty to it. This is one of the swamps of the basin. Lots of swamps in here. Also miles and miles of rivers and bayous, hardwoods throughout, and then lakes scattered throughout the Atchafalaya Basin. It's located in south-central Louisiana and is the largest swamp wilderness in the United States. Now, the water temperature is the big change from last year. Last year's temperatures were around 60 degrees. This year, closer to 50. The fish are much less active this year. At last year's event, a lot of this area would have been dry, and higher water levels have made the fishing tougher. In fact, the water is about 2 feet above where it was last year. Deciding where to fish can be critical because travel time gets involved. Lake Verret, for example, is close to the launch as the crow flies, but anglers to get there must travel through Morgan City and back up, and that's an hour or more one way. Also, Bayou Black, which is south of the launch area, is a good fishery, but in one direction, an hour and a half or more. Now, closer to the launch is the spillway area. A lot of the spillway area are canals dug by oil and gas companies. It can be hard to get around in here, but some of these canals hold good-sized bass. The spillway area is so complex that regular maps don't do it justice, so nearly all the anglers carry satellite maps like these. You'll see a satellite map like this one on almost every boat that fishes the Atchafalaya Basin. So how will the FLW anglers fish the Atchafalaya Basin? Well, we enlisted a local expert to help out. His name is Brad Rodrigue from Pierre Part, Louisiana, and last year he won the co-angler title here. He's fished the Atchafalaya Basin for more than 20 years.
What I have here is a white spinnerbait with double Colorado blades. This will probably be something similar to what the fishermen will be using in the tournament. The reason for the double Colorado blades, it tends to slow the bait down. You don't want to really burn it through the water because the water's real cold right now, and you want to kind of have a flutter effect when you get close to an object. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just throwing it out, and I get close to an object, and I just let it flutter down a little ways, and then bring it in real slow. And then when I get far enough away from the drop, I'll go ahead and bring it on in and throw out again. Okay, what I have here is I have a black and blue rattle jig, and a crawl worm. And what I like to do is I like to bite a little bit off the edge of the crawl, and then pass it through the hook of the jig, and bring it out and snug it up underneath the rattle, and then what it'll look like similar to a crawfish. The fish are really keying in on crawfish at this time of the year because it's the season for them to be coming out their burrows, and of course, as you know, all Cajuns like to eat crawfish, so that process there is gonna start here within the next few weeks or so. Another technique that the pros will probably be using in this tournament is a soft plastic, in this particular case, a brush hog. This is the standard size brush hog. This particular color is June bug. Basically, they'll be pitching these brush hogs up cypress trees and knees and stumps, and also in grass. Okay, another bait that the professional fishermen in the tournament might be reverting to as a secondary source would be a crankbait. And what they'll be trying to do with the crankbait is they'll be throwing it out and looking for submerged stumps that they can bump it off of, just like the spinnerbait, and get a reaction strike off of any bass that may be lurking near the stump.
Our thanks to Brad Rodriguez. You know, no matter how tough the conditions are, somebody in the FLW always figures the fish out. I mean, these anglers are just that good. Well, the weather's not looking so good right now. More on that in our banana boat outdoor conditions.
FLW anglers can look for more rainy weather with temperatures at launch in the upper 40s, warming into the 50s. On the last 2 days, low to mid 40s at launch and a high about 50. UV index low.
Let's find out more now on how the Atchafalaya Basin is fishing, and who better to do that than our own Hank Parker. He is with Dean Rojas.
Yeah. All right, tell me how a guy grew up in San Diego area comes to a place like the Atchafalaya Basin, totally opposite of what you grew up in. How in the world do you go about finding fish?
A lot of homework and a lot of preparation, more than anything. And it was always my dream there in San Diego to become a professional angler.
The San Diego area is so interesting, but I can look at that water, and with the exception of the Delta now, the California Delta is just an incredible body of water, and it's a lot like this. I mean, you know, it's a lot of similarity.
Sure.
But from where you came from and the way you learned to fish as a kid, to be able to adapt and do as well as you've done is phenomenal.
I guess I'm lucky in a way because when I turned 13, I knew what I wanted to do for a living, and that was be a professional angler. And, you know, people thought I was nuts, and high school was really rough on me because, you know, I would carry a Bassmaster magazine around, or some fishing magazine, and I was, I'd have my history book and I had my fishing magazine underneath, so they couldn't see what I was reading, and man, I got teased mercifully, because it's not, I mean, San Diego's not a fishing town. It's not like, out here where everybody hunts and fishes.
Does enthusiasm account for a lot of your success, you think? You're so enthused with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the drive is so strong. Just because I know I can win on any given week, and it's going to happen again. I'm going to get the right bites, to win another tournament, and I've come awfully close in the last 3 years to winning. I've got like 3 seconds and a bunch of top fives, And
now, did you miss by an ounce or two once?
I lost last year at Champlain. I lost by an ounce.
And these four fish weigh in at 13 pounds, 3 ounces, a new leader, 13.3.
Sam Newby is coming up next.
Again, he needs 7 pounds, 8 ounces to overtake Dean Rojas, and that's going to be close. 7 pounds, 8 ounces by 1 ounce, a new leader. And that spells disaster for Dean Rojas.
1 ounce, 200 grand. I've been there a couple of times on that 1 ounce deal. And
but
then,
second place was 100, so it wasn't that bad. I was
Yeah.
still smiling at the end.
oh yeah, that was a pretty good deal.
It'll happen again. I mean, I'll get back. We gotta get a second shot. We're going up there in June this year, so.
It's gonna be exciting.
What a fishery.
Do you look forward to certain tournaments, or you just take them one at a time?
I take them one at a time. Fishing both schedules that I do. This is my 4th straight week fishing. I'm in a fishing mode right now where it's all I want to do right now, and I feel really good. To be honest with you, I feel pretty good about it. I'm not exhausted or drained, and it's been a good spring for me so far. Caught a 10-pounder down at Okeechobee.
I heard that.
Man, that was a mule.
How long did you spend on that one fish?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Is that part of your history, your San Diego experience, that made you able to do that, you think?
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. A lot of the lakes in San Diego are gin clear, you know, so we do a lot of sight fishing, you know, when the time is right for it. And believe it or not, I mean, that's how that was one of my strengths, and that's probably one of the best attributes that I got from living in San Diego was my sight fishing ability. And knowing how to read a fish when you see it, you know, you can really pay attention. You really know how he's going to react within the first probably 15 seconds. I can tell you whether I can catch him or not. And I can tell you how long it's probably going to take also.
That's amazing.
You know, just by the way it reacts. I have a box that very few people have seen, and it's my sight fishing box. And it's
I need to get in that box.
No, you don't. Nobody sees that box. Only the people who see that are my amateurs, and I keep it covered all the time.
Hey, am I not your amateur?
You're my co-angler today.
I'm your co-angler.
But we're not sight fishing.
But we might start. You gonna have a sight fish bite here on the Atchafalaya?
If the water was 10 degrees warmer, yeah.
But it's not, so
No,
are you
it's
gonna
not.
have one?
No, I'm not.
You're not gonna have a sight bite?
No.
Even if it gets 80 degrees, the next 2 days are not gonna move
No,
up?
I don't think so. It's too early.
Too far away?
Yeah, too far away. If we were here in 3 weeks and it got 80, yeah. Because the water, as you know, it's just getting clearer and clearer. And it gets real clear to where you can see 5 feet, you know, 6 feet. And you can see it easily. And who'd think catching, you know, sight fish on Atchafalaya?
Do you know kind of where they're going to be bedding anyway? Let's say you got dirty water here and you know the fish are on the bed. You kind of know where a bed would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know, I wouldn't be out here on the main river channel. I'd be in the back of the
bays
dead
and
end
cut.
sloughs. Oh yeah.
Dead end
You
sloughs.
can never go wrong on any kind of river system or delta waterway with dead end sloughs.
I tell you what, this has been a real thrill for me. This guy is on fire. Dean Rojas, man, you're a master at all this stuff, and I'm just so fascinated talking about sight fishing. Although it's not going to be a sight fishing tournament this week, you're going to have to be a little bit more diverse.
But that's okay, because I enjoy throwing a spinnerbait and flipping a jig also. So it doesn't have to be sight fishing for me to do well. I mean, I just love being out here and fishing.
What a success story. 13 years old, knew this is what he wanted to do. Here he is in the big time, making a big living fishing.
Sitting next to Hank Parker, man. Isn't that awesome?
Hey, we got more of FLW Outdoors coming up next. Stay with us.
Hey, I'm Scott Martin. If you want to know a proven way of catching fish under any conditions, it's a Carolina rig. And coming up, I'm going to show you how.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Lay's. Bet you can't eat just one. By Garmin. Get a Garmin and get on fish. And by...
Seems to be a good one. It is a dandy. Needs 5 pounds, 1 ounce. This one weighs in at 3 pounds, 13 ounces. Not enough. Paul Elias is our champion.
Still with fish to weigh. Paul Elias, let's bring it up, get a total weight.
Little icing on the cake for our champion, Paul Elias. His final fish weighs in at 5 pounds, even a champion, Paul Elias.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. Let's update you on the EverStart Series. The Western Division just completed its first event, and Marcus Klaus of Henderson, Nevada is the winner. 5 pounds better than second place. He wins $9,000 in cash plus a fully rigged Ranger boat. And you can log on to FLWOutdoors.com for your best online source for all of the tournaments in the FLW Outdoors family.
Pro anglers are always learning about fishing, and you can too in a segment we call Fishing 101 with BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin. Scott talks about some of the basics of fishing, and this week his topic is Carolina rigging.
Hi, I'm Scott Martin. Today we're going to talk about a Carolina rig. You know, a Carolina rig's overlooked by a lot of today's fishermen, but it's the most consistent way to catch fish. And the guys that do fish it usually fish it deep. Today we're going to fish it shallow, and we're going to catch fish. Let me show you how to rig a Carolina rig. I like to throw a 7 to a 7.5 foot rod. And on my reel, I like to put 17-pound test line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1/2 ounce to a 1 ounce lead weight on my line. And also, behind the lead weight, I like to rig up some beads. These are glass beads here. And what that does is it protects your knot to your swivel and also allows a lot of noise, and the bass will attract to them. I use a 2/0 hook with a little finesse worm. Seems to be a really good choice when you're fishing with a Carolina rig. There's a bite right there. All right. That fish came out of 1.5 foot of water on a Carolina rig. 1.5 foot of water, about a 3-foot leader, and a small little finesse worm will produce a lot of fish on a Carolina rig. A Carolina rig's a very versatile lure. You can throw it when it's sunny, when it's cloudy, when it's windy, when it's calm. You can pretty much throw it every day of the week. With a lot of times with other lures like a crankbait or a jerkbait, they might only bite those baits on certain days when the weather's just right for that particular lure. But a Carolina rig, day in and day out, it's the most consistent lure you can throw. There's a bite right there. All right. Nice bass. You know, when you set the hook with the Carolina rig, you don't have to set it too hard. Let the rod do the work for you. Just lean into him pretty good, and usually it'll drive that hook right in him good. Nice little largemouth. One of the main reasons I like to drag my rod to the side, sweep it to the side versus going straight over my head, is it allows that weight to stay in contact with the bottom the entire time that I fish it back to the boat. When you lift your rod up like this, what your weight's actually doing, it leaves contact to the bottom and arches off the bottom 3 or 4 inches and then comes back down and settles. So if you drag it to the side the entire time and keep the contact, you create more noise and you're able to find more stuff. Also, when you're fishing a Carolina rig and you detect the strike, don't get in a hurry. They're not gonna let it go. They'll usually swallow it. They'll never spit it out. Most common mistake people make is they set the hook too quick.
Kellogg's Pro Dave Lefebvre is one of the rising stars on the FLW Tour, and he's back at the Atchafalaya Basin, the site of his first FLW Top 10, and he's with Hank Parker right now.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm fixing to have some more fun out here on the Atchafalaya Basin with Kellogg's Pro Dave Lefebvre. Dave, let's go get him, buddy.
You're getting ready to head for Atchafalaya Basin. You made the top 10 there last year. Could you repeat?
Yeah, I'm just hoping to sneak on that show with what's his name, old Hank Parker. I've been watching him forever, and I just please put me on that show next week.
So you allowed to tell me like where Dean's fishing and what he's catching them on and all that stuff?
Yeah, he's not left the state of Louisiana.
I need more information than that.
And I'm pretty sure he's catching less than 100 pounds a day. Did you fish here last year?
No, I fished on the spillway side last year. I just couldn't get nothing going in there this year. It's like the area that I was fishing kind of looked like this. It had a lot of banks, and this year there's no banks. It looks like a big lake back there.
The area where you caught your fish last year, you feel like it's totally wiped out?
I keep checking it, but I was in there twice and didn't get bit, and I kind of got a little nervous. But yesterday I went in there and got 5 or 6 bites, set the hook on one, and it was close to 3 pounds. If the tournament was right now, I think I'd be starting in there and then running around. Right now we're in Verret. It's a lot. Last year I was fishing grass, so you know I wasn't targeting any trees at all. It's a lot different this year for me. Trying to find, like last year I had an area I could go in there and get at least 50 bites every day. I mean, I'd miss a lot of them. I don't know if they were spawning or whatever.
50 bites.
It was incredible. So that's what I was expecting when we came back, is to find, if they weren't there, I'd find another place that was similar, and it isn't happening. I mean, I'm going into a slough that's this long and maybe getting 2 or 3 bites. So it's kind of scary. It seems like they're all next to these little drains. I haven't seen one yet, but there's swamps around all these different sloughs, and anywhere you can find like a drain that's you know, sucking out that black water from the swamp. Everywhere I can find a gut or a little drain that enters the swamp, there's one at the mouth of it, just about every one. I heard JT Kenny gave you a rough time last time, huh?
You know how it goes.
He said he wanted to call me during the show today. He'll do anything to get on TV, but I shut my phone off.
Where'd you grow up fishing?
I grew up fishing a little, it was almost a pond-sized lake called Lake Lefebvre, right in my hometown there.
And where is that?
It's in Waterford, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. My dad used to drop me off there in the morning at 5 o'clock on his way to work and pick me up at 6 o'clock on his way home from work every day in the summer.
So your dad has support your fishing?
Yeah, they were a little leery when I chose to do it for a profession, you know, but now that I'm out here and doing what I love to do and making a living there.
So they're all for it now?
Yeah.
You married?
Yeah. My
Children?
wife Ann, I got a wife Ann, and my son Mitchell, who's 19 months. They travel with me everywhere I go, so.
Well, that's neat, isn't it?
It is. It's a blast. We both love the outdoors and love traveling. And
is that been a bit of a distraction to your career, trying to travel with the family, or does that help you?
No, I think it helps me. I mean, if they're not here, I'm always missing them, and you know, like during the days when they're not biting or something, I'll start thinking I should be at home. And it's just nice that they're here, and you know, I get to see Mitchie every day when I get off the water.
You set goals for yourself each year, or you just start the day out and start the year out doing the best you can and don't really think about anything?
I have this year. I mean, last year I didn't, because I was new to it and I didn't know what to expect. You know, last year my only goal was to make the Jacobs Cup, and I did that. This year, you know, I would just love to get Angler of the Year, just have it, at least be in position, you know, toward the end of the season to have a shot at it.
Where'd you finish in the last one?
I finished 5th at Okeechobee, which was a bonus, because that was one of the ones I was worried about. Me and Florida bass don't get along too well.
Well, you don't have to worry about Okeechobee anymore.
Right. There's a fish right there. Did you see that?
No. Did you have a bite?
You didn't see that?
For really, did you have a bite?
You must not have been looking. You got to take that. You want to try those solar bats?
Did you have a bite for real?
I'm pretty sure that was a bite.
I heard something. Dave, I'm telling you, you guys are wearing me out. You take me to all these places where we can't catch fish. You caught 50 a day last year, but are you at least showing me what you're going to be doing during the tournament?
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. Fishing the backs of these little pockets, these dead-end canals, and looking for little drains from the swamp.
All right, Dave Lefebvre, you got it. Now we're going to be coming up next. We're going to be fishing with 2003 champion Paul Elias. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more FLW Outdoors.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, where we are previewing the $900,000 FLW Tour stop in Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin.
Last year was the first year for the tour to stop here. The anglers loved it, and Paul Elias won the event. Carlton, he won by changing up his pattern on days 3 and 4.
From Paducah, Mississippi, Paul Elias.
Whoa! Paul Elias.
Valentine.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
Paul Elias.
Be the man.
Fishy, fishy in the brook. Come and bite upon Paul's hook.
Fortunately, Paul Elias has another day job to fall back on until his singing career gets going. Paul cruised into the final round with a qualifying weight of 27 pounds, 10 ounces. But on the first day of the final round, Elias utilized his primary spot, a shallow water canal holding large fish.
Beautiful thing, you.
Paul caught over 17 pounds on day 3, leading all finalists into the final day of competition.
I couldn't be home on Valentine's with my wife, so I told my cameraman, I said, man, I think I'm gonna catch my wife a Valentine's bass.
And here's Happy Valentine's Day right here. That's a pretty good Valentine's Day present.
That's for Christy.
All right, Christy, that's for you. Fish number 5, 5 fish in the bag. Total weight here, 17 pounds, 5 ounces, the new leader. Great job, Paul, great job.
But his 1.5 pound lead heading into the final day was not enough to give the Mississippi Pro any degree of complacency.
Oh, no, Paul. No. There he is. No, God in heaven. God, that was a 5-pounder. Oh, no.
Elias would have to wait a full hour and 10 minutes after his first keeper to catch his second.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You were a long time coming.
Elias's area would begin to heat up after that second keeper. Within the next hour, he'd fill up his live well using a combination of spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, and tubes.
Yes. Come here. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what it is. These fish are setting up to spawn. Mwah, you beautiful thing, you. I love you. Man, she didn't taste very good, though.
The buzzbaits brought the biggest and most exciting catches of the day. In shallow water, he's running his buzzbait across the tops of grass looking for small pockets. Watch how slightly Elias sputters his retrieve, and bam, it's the anchor of his stringer.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I need your net. Go. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Valentine. Mwah. That's what I'm talking about. Now, why did they start biting that buzzbait all of a sudden? I don't know why. Praise the Lord, they did.
It was one of those special days for a longtime pro who had wondered if he'd ever win his first FLW title. That moment came as Dave Lefebvre, the last challenger standing, weighed his final fish.
Needs 5 pounds, 1 ounce, 3 pounds, 13 ounces, not enough. Paul Elias is our champion. Little icing on the cake for our champion, Paul Elias. His final fish weighs in at 5 pounds, even a champion, Paul Elias.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
From Paducah, Mississippi, Paul Elias.
Coming up a little later on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker will fish with Paul Elias, and we'll see how the defending champ plans to fish the Atchafalaya Basin in 2004.
We'd like to take you behind the scenes with our FLW pros. Coming up in the show, the family life of Castrol pro Carl Sweebeck.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By U.S. Bank, home of the 5-star service guarantee. By Evinrude Outboards. And by Fujifilm. Get the picture.
Hey, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. A really special treat for me. I'm going to be fishing with my old comrade, 20-several year, I won't know how many years, but 20-several year veteran, Paul Elias, the defending champion of this tournament. 203 champ, man.
Defending champion.
That's it. You're going to put us on some fish and show us how to do it?
Well, Hank, we're going to try to catch some. We're going to fish around some shallow cover and pitch some FLW lures at them and hope they'll bite them. I tell you, though, fishing's a lot harder this year.
It is harder?
Fishing, it has
more
been
water.
for me. I haven't talked to a lot of guys, but yeah, there's more water and the water's colder, you know, so it just kind of slows down the bite. But, you know, you got to figure them out because they're going to be caught one way or the other. this weather, the way it is, these fish are going to start biting.
This place has got some fish in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of fish in it. A lot of fish. When the water temperature takes a hit like it's taken the last couple of days, you can fish through an area that's got a ton of fish, you know, and you think there's nothing there. They're just not biting. These fish aren't used to a 7 or 8 degree water temperature hit overnight.
You know, I'm sitting here watching you pitch, and last year you won the tournament on spinnerbait and pitching a tube. And what all did you do last year to win this thing?
The first 2 days I was throwing your spinnerbait with a red and orange skirt, and pulling it down logs. I fished two little canals both days, and it was kind of crazy because you think you caught all the fish in there, and you make another loop through there, and it's like another one swim up on every log.
A lot of people may not know this, but you and I go back way back, fishing tournaments together, but we've both been working with the same lure company now for about 20 years.
Yes, sirree.
And we've been working on the FLW baits. I'm pitching an FLW jig, which I absolutely love. I think this trailer is by far the best looking trailer I've seen yet.
It is, it's awesome.
No gimmicks in these baits, are just hardcore power fishing lures that are designed. The hook in this thing's got that red hook, which is hot, but it's a great hook, and it's a super duper design. Of course, not only the jig, that tube's awesome. It's a good sized tube.
Yeah, it's got, you know, it's got a lot of bulk to it.
I like that.
It's got the ribs on it, which you get some more water dispersion and raised eyes.
I like that.
It's a neat tube.
A lot of detail, a lot of thought. But the whole goal behind it was, and I think you had a lot to do with that, and I think a lot of the man staff as well as a lot of the FLW staff had a lot to do with, hey, we don't want to go in and reinvent the wheel. We want to take the basic fundamental baits that win the majority of the tournaments, and we want to refine it and make sure it's the best jig, the best tube, the best worm that a person can get. How do you keep your confidence, Paul, when you go to a place that you really felt like you could catch fish and it's beautiful, it's right what you're looking for, water temperature is right, you know you're using the right baits, and you go in there and fish for 2 days and don't get a bite? What do you do then?
You keep on looking. If you don't find anything, you got to go with whatever you feel. You know, I think the main mistake I've always made when I got a problem like that, and I'm not really on any fish, is I run around too much. I think the best thing to do is commit to an area that you feel like's got some fish in it, and just fish it hard.
Is that what you're going to do here?
That's what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to get that much fishing time the way it looks right now. If I have to run to the marsh, I'm only going to get 5 hours, so I'll probably fish 2 canals down in the marsh.
It'd be kind of a bummer if you went all the way down there and committed to 5 hours and there's 7 other boats in there, isn't it? Oh,
yeah. You always got that. You know, that's anymore. You know, you used to could run 60 miles and get away from the boats. You can run 160 now and you can't get away from the boats.
People figure that out.
That's right.
Seems like everybody knows. I mean, all these young kids who hadn't had a whole lot of experience, they know the scoop right off the bat.
Well, they do. I mean, it's been printed and on videos and everything else on what to do in certain situations. I mean, we raised a bunch of good fishermen is what we did.
How many years you been doing this, Paul?
I started in '76, really. Really 77. I only fished like 2 tournaments in 76.
So 27 to 28 years, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, long time.
How in the world do you stay, what keeps you motivated?
Competition, man. Competition.
Tell you what, Paul, it's been a lot of fun, man. Anytime I'm with you, I have a big time.
I've enjoyed it, Hank.
It's great to see after 25 plus years, you still got all this enthusiasm like a kid.
I do, man. I love it. I still love it.
Great champion, our defending champion 2003. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Taylor and Carlton for our Atchafalaya Basin predictions.